All right, well, let's get this meeting kicked off. This is Helm Weekly Developer Meeting, June 13th, 2024. This meeting is recorded, so if you don't like that, you can drop off now or forever hold your peace. And we'll get started with the announcements this week. Matt, floor is yours.
All right, 3.15.2 went out on schedule. The next release is a patch release next month before we eventually get to a minor release, but the patch release is out. Had a number of small bug fixes and things like that in it.
Awesome. And I know some people are still typing in there. Do we have any other announcements before we move on? All right. Moving on to discussions, Matt, once again, the floor is yours.
All right, I was actually hoping to have some more of the other maintainers here. So we have an issue here that has to do with name spacing in mirrors. So the name of a chart as documented, and let me drop the link in. The issue, if you don't already have it up, cool. Drop that into chat here. The issue is Artifactory decided to start putting a slash in the name in order to namespace charts. Now, if you go to the documentation on this, we actually say chart names must be lowercase letters and numbers. Words may be separated with a dash. Then there's some examples given. Underneath it, it says neither uppercase letters nor underscores can be used in chart names. Dot should not be used in chart names. And this is really around, this is the naming convention. There's some reasons in the way that we people use names and charts and things like that that cause a problem. Well, Artifactory decided to start using a slash in there, and our validation logic got updated when we fixed a CVE to not allow a slash in there and call name problems, because there's problems if you have, say, dot dot slash something, where you can have Helm sticks things in other parts of your file system. It's a CVE, it's out, it's fixed. And so we disallowed that by just making sure that the name was appropriate, parsing it, check the name. We use some functionality like this, but it doesn't allow for the slash in that. But now that causes validation on Artifactory stuff to break. And I wanted to have a kind of a bigger discussion on the use of a slash in there.
Don't believe there are any other core maintainers on to have this conversation, sir. So this might be something you might have to bring up next time. Personally, if it's breaking and people use Artifactory, would this be a breaking change? Is my question, or not?
Well, Artifactory didn't follow the naming rules. We just were not strict in catching it. And as soon as we added some strictness into catching the naming rules and validation and things like that, that's where this came up.
Got it.
I probably need to look over some more of the Helm source code and maybe contact the maintainers asynchronously and get some feedback on it.
Okay.
Because we have to look, if we're going to do a slash in there, there's probably some things that we don't catch that are edge case bugs. And if we want to accept it, we don't want those edge case bugs at the same time. They're going to change validation, go fix those edge case bugs, or we don't allow it. And this is not the first time a major company has done something that goes against specs and things like that. And eventually a change of ours caused a problem because we were within our documented stuff and they went out of it. So, okay.
We'll move on
to continue further.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to the next one. Scott is not here, but I'll bring it up anyway on Scott's behalf. Scott's nominated Evans as a triage maintainer. It's linked a email to the public mailing list and a note to all maintainers on a vote and a private mailing list for it. You have my vote, Evans. Like, you're cool. But that don't matter.
Thanks, Robert.
No problem. I'm not sure if there's anything else we need to kind of address with that. Is it just kind of more informative, Matt?
Yep, we got to go bug people. I'll warn you all, voting is very slow right now. Right now, I'm actually contacting inactive maintainers to see, do they want to fall off of being maintainers because they become inactive. We have a clause that says after so long of a period of inactivity, you fall off. But in politeness, we've always poked them and saying, hey, do you want to fall off or re-engaged? In the past, they have always politely decided to bow out. And I'm going through that process with multiple people right now. But because those people aren't here, it makes voting a real pain in the neck until we go do something. Because when somebody's a maintainer and they've invested a whole bunch, it really sucks to just rip them out and say, see you. You've got to have that human factor. So we are going through that now with a number of the inactive people who are making voting impossible. So please be patient as we've got problems here. But I've been in active touch with multiple people already to discuss this with them. So
Thanks,
Good.
thanks.
So we'll move on to our HIP review. Michael, you're on. You want to talk about pull request 349, sir?
Yes, this relates to running hooks in parallel. So there was a PR created early last year to address running hooks in parallel, and there was a comment in there that a hook might or a hip might be useful. But that PR kind of stalled there at that time. But I'd like to make progress on it again. I think there's quite significant time savings in install and upgrade can be made by running the hooks in parallel. So I've just created this HIP to propose it basically and to run through what's proposed, and I've tried to list that I think will be any discussion points on it. So just if anyone has time to have a look at it, go through it and provide any feedback, then that would be great.
I've got feedback right now. I just read it pretty quickly. I've got immediate feedback. So we have different roles in Helm, right? There's the person who's installing the chart and they don't necessarily know how everything works. And I always use something like MySQL or WordPress as my example, right? They don't know everything you need to install WordPress or MySQL, just like I don't know if I'm going to go install MySQL on Debian. Where's the right place to stick all the right files on the system, right? What information do I need to capture where? Installing a package means I don't need to know that. It does it. And if it needs to know something, it prompts me for that information, right? And then there's the person who packages it up, which is a separate role, who has that level of expertise. And the person who packages it up, because they packaged it up and they had that expertise, that package can be installed and run by a ton of people who don't need to have that expertise, right? You just install it and go with it. When it comes to running hooks in parallel, that person who takes a package and just run it, who doesn't have that expertise, they're not going to know whether it's safe to run things in parallel because they haven't tested it. Maybe I have to run them in serial. Maybe I can't. They just don't have that knowledge of the internals of the package. And so with a chart, my issue with this is that that person having a flag there doesn't actually know, should I run it or not? Does it matter or not? And so it would be really nice to have a way to encapsulate that in the chart itself. So the author of the chart can say, I know this is safe. We've tested it. It's totally okay, because they have that business knowledge. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I will add one thing to that, if I may. Do we have those personas that you outlined in our documentation? Or am I missing that?
Oh, hold on. I will drop a link in here.
Oh boy, this guy's there.
We call them there.
Where'd you put it?
There's the URL dropped in chat there. We call them profiles or user profiles, persona. Sloppy with the names. You'll see that this file was created. Was it created 6 years ago? So we've had it for a while. And it outlines kind of what those different things are and even how we prioritize them in priority order of importance. And that person who's got to install something, we always put first, followed by the person who has to package it up. And of course, the people who write Helm, we prioritize the lowest.
With that, would it be beneficial, Michael, for HIPs, would it be beneficial if we have those target profiles based on that? So it kind of clarifies.
Yeah, I can go back over it again. I can take that into consideration and have another go at the HIP based on that.
Yeah, I'd really love to be able to capture it in the metadata of the chart and cleanly layer it in. having
Okay.
not thought about this other than just reading it just now.
Yeah.
I don't have any ideas yet, but it'd be really nice if we could capture it in the chart metadata at some point. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll have another think about it and come back again. Yeah. And obviously if you have any other suggestions in the meantime, then please let me know.
I definitely will. And I'll put this one on there as well. So anybody who reads it who's not on here can see that feedback.
Yep, perfect. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And I like the idea here, by the way. I want to say parallelizing this. I really like that idea. So if there is a way that we can cleanly do it, I'd love to see it implemented.
Great. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Michael. Evans, I know you're nudging 301 once again. You were here last week. Matt's here, so by all means, the floor is yours, sir.
Yes. Again, like what you said, Robert, it's more of a nudge.
Yep, it's on my to review list. In fact, I will hopefully get to it today.
Thank you.
Sorry, I keep getting distracted. Somebody keeps throwing issues and pull requests my way with my time. I don't know who that is. Not who that is.
All right. I'm going to let that troll go, and we'll move to, there's no shout outs, social media amplifications in the list here, unless anyone has a last minute thing. So I guess we can be respectful of everyone's time for next week. Volunteers for moderator. I unfortunately cannot do it because I will be at a conference.
You will be gone. I can go ahead and moderate next week.
Thank you, sir. Notes, anybody?
I may or may not be here next week, so
Okay.
We'll just leave it empty for now, I think.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else, as we're respectful for everyone's time? Because I know Matt's busy with all these PRs people keep sending him to review. No? All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and we can adjourn for this week, and I will see you week after next.
And thank you for running such a tight, on-point meeting here.
Well, you're welcome, sir.
Last time was the same, so yeah, good stuff.
Yes, we do this well.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
All right.